to the water. And the guy who pulled his friend out of the water, like Jesus, he was still alive. He was alive. He survived. And he told me, no problem. They all survive like 3-4 per year during the SAV courses. Wow, we need to build this that you can activate even by Bluetooth, like instructor from the ground, or have a system that harness simple technology. We're basically been flying rucksacks for decades in this amazing sport that deserves so much more, but the technology just drifts other way. Where is the money? Where is the mass need? And this is still a niche sport. Basically, it's a heavy deal. I feel like I sold my soul, but again, with a good purpose. And that's why I'm all in, and I cannot give back as you earlier wish me. I have to deliver this to the community because in this final version that we're about to release soon, it's gonna be a wow on the market, I believe. And I cannot wait to show it on Kupicar. The harness is being tested again by me and my friends, some of the best athletes in the world champions and stuff, and everyone else. And the harness is been holding very well and performing very well. It saved many lives.
Being passionate about our sport is one thing, but maintaining that passion and turning it into a sustainable way of life, as I've said time and again earlier on the show, is something else entirely. And today's guest knows this journey all too well. Many of you recognize him for his incredible achievements across various disciplines in our sport, but he is also known very well for giving back in the ways that truly resonate with the paragliding community. We are talking about the pioneering mind behind one of the first and most innovative base harnesses on the market. A design that dramatically raised the safety standards in acrobatics, making it both fearless and groundbreaking at the same time. In this episode, we dive into a holistic conversation about the second version of this innovation, which is due to be released very soon. The version 2 is not just about enhancing the fun factor, but also promises to deliver even greater safety and a comfort unheard of for all the pilots that will end up using it in their adventures. We explore the challenges he has faced, the philosophy behind the design process, and what it means to live a life driven by passion and adventure. So join us as we uncover the latest in paragliding tech and get a rare look into one of the sport's most dynamic figures, a world record holder, multi-air sports pilot, and founder of Fly the Earth brand. So tune in, have a listen, and enjoy the show. Veselin Ovcharov, thank you so much for coming on Paragliding Atlas, man, and taking out time from your super busy schedule. So happy that you did this. How is life treating you these days?
Really glad to be able to connect with you and your community. It's beautiful what you guys doing, and more than glad to contribute with the knowledge I gain during this development. Myself as a pilot and as a harness constructor, and all the things around. And life has been busy lately, but with a great purpose, and that's the thing that's keeping me strong.
I love it, man, and thank you so much for taking out time from everything that you've been through. Just before on the recording, we were talking about some difficulties, but the way you are managing them and the way you are still giving back to the community, I think, needless to say, massive thanks, and I hope others can get inspired and follow your footsteps in time to come. While I was researching for this show, I was just looking at your page on Red Bull, and it said that you come from a family of scientists. The first thing that came to my mind is that from a family of scientists to acro paragliding, that just seems like a very wild ride. Were you never into books, or what has your history been like? How did you become Veso as we know it today?
I guess they're very different, but in a way very similar, because in science, everything has a question and answer. And this is very important approach when it comes to adventure sport and taking risks. And I think that's my biggest advantage, that I always have a question before I do something. And if you forget to ask this question, you'll find out very easy anyway, very fast in paragliding. My parents were totally against it, at least a decade. And then naturally they accepted when they see that this thing were making me happy, and I was going all around the world and having all these friends around. They definitely accepted, and I had a little chance actually to fly only once with my mom in a very special day, in a Easter day. And as life can be hard, you mentioned earlier, she departed from this material world at the same very day, in Easter day, a couple of years later. And for me, this is very special, also meaning to keep the flying dream. And in that relation, I built many dreams for myself with the adventures. That was definitely mind opening to see the world firsthand, how big and how amazing can be, and all the people who are ready to support you and to celebrate life. When you're traveling, life is not about the problem. Life is about celebrating. Very powerful way of living, and I had this luck to do it for almost 15 years traveling around. And then I decided to give something more valuable to the community and also to myself. I couldn't buy such equipment to feel myself super safe and comfortable. There was always a big list of compromises. And I was like, this should be easy to eliminate. Let's do something. And 5 years ago, this project started with Fly the Earth. And we were very, how to say, very convinced that we will build it for a couple of months, but it stretched to be eternity. And at the beginning was also quite easy because we had people to partner with us, like other factories, and do the dirty work with R&D. We were just requesting things and paying, giving money. It's easy part. But then they were overwhelmed from the volume of this project and the difficulty because their workers taking the same salary if they make a flip flop, but they don't struggle as much as with our product. And basically, our requirements was to eliminate specific things in terms of safety and comfort. Like, for example, from an acro harness, you want a couple of rescue parachutes in a various position, not at the same more or less area. For example, both parachutes under your seat, they're more or less in the same area. And I've been myself wrapped in a lines. When you lose the energy and you fall into the lines in the paraglider, you're wrapped like cat in fish line. And to be able to extract the rescue is a matter of luck if the lines are more wrapped in this area or not. And if you have two areas of the parachute to extract, that makes the situation slightly better to survive. And the other thing, those rescues, they used to share more or less the same routing for the attachment point on your shoulders. And this create conflicts because sometimes when you throw one of the rescues and it appeared to be rigged to the harness under the bridles of the other rescue, then you create some uneven tension and you can hang on your hips like sideways and so on. It's happened to me again. Everything comes from experience, this desire to improve things. And then we decide, let's make every parachute with two individual channels, super clean and neat to your shoulder. So it's like zip, like a sweet, like a kiss when you throw a parachute. There is no some weird tension and pulls and stuff. And that was delivered, but it's really crazy to have these clean routings with zippers in a textile product that is moving all the time. To make them, it's been like crazy. And the other things we improve, sorry for the sounds. Some friends are coming to visit before my departing to Pakistan. So there was one thing to eliminate, and we did very good. And the other thing is the cutaway system, the base parachute. It had the system. It had some needs to be improved. For example, paragliders have maybe 2 or 3 meters longer lines than parachutes than skydiving canopies, and we've basically been using their three ring cutaway system. We adopted in a paragliding harness. We even reversed it upside down, and we use these longer line canopies that create way more g-force and load to the body. They create more gravitational pull. And already in skydiving, the cutaways can be violent and difficult. If you're a 100-kilo dude, gnarly out rotation, they have 10 kilo to pull the cable, and they pull the cable straight from the direction of the pull because the cable go around the back. The air harness is not like paragliding harness to have any adjustment. It's just a backpack that you put and the cable is going around your back, and the handle, it's really extract the cable way more flawlessly, fluidly than paragliding. The cable is passing under your seat. And when you're in G-force with the longer lines, the cable is really heavy to pull. And also the webbing that everybody been using for this kind of harness on the market is very cheap, the cheapest possible polyester, not very pretty as well, that stretch like hell with a high kilogram load. So we had to use a special webbing that it's 3 times stronger and have zero stretch. Unfortunately, the price is 11 times more or maybe 12 times more than the normal webbing. So that's a clear reason why the industry has been avoiding this kind of things. And the biggest help also came from ellipsoid ring, middle ring, which actually gives more leverage to the system when it closes. Increase the strength of the hold with 57% better. It gives 57% better result only when we load the harness with 300 kilo. For example, if I load the three ring system with 300 kilo without ellipsoid ring, just the normal 3 rings, it's very hard. And when I put ellipsoid ring that give leverage to the 3 ring system geometry, it's almost 60% easier to pull the cable. We also make things to create unique pulley design to attach to the webbing so the cable is guided in a very smooth flow, and tiny many details into the assembly of the harness. But basically we make a flawless, super reliable cutaway with a very strong resistance. 3 parachutes super neatly stored in the harness. We also did anatomic shape like to your body, carbon plate for the back and for the seat board, which give tremendous difference in the feeling of how you connect with the harness and also how you feel about comfort, because the harness normally, especially when you do twisted maneuvers, it wrap around you and squeeze you like a lemon, and you can really release your juice. High G maneuvers. And this carbon plate take the load. Simple as that. Take the load of the webbing, quite big percent of it, and makes you breathe very freely. And also what makes it distribute the load of the backrest adjustment point, because the backrest adjustment point cannot be that high like in a cross-country harness, which is coming under your arm, because there you have to pull like an animal and you have to have a free area for your arms, right? So the acro point backrest is pretty low. And what is your heaviest part of your body is the torso. So basically nothing really holds your torso in aggressive whiplash movement when you do acro. And sometimes I experience with old school harness, my head is waving like a paper on the back. And this carbon plate distribute the load of the backrest, and you feel held by hands all the way to your neck. Really like business class compared to economy. And also on the side we have really comfort cushions that you can really throw your weight shift and so on. We use the best possible material available on the market. We work with nearly 50 companies that give us these parts. Some of them we make customly. We build the buckles that they're adjusted very simply, and then the harness never lose the adjustment, because when you do acro, everyone knows, end up sewing your harness. But what about if you put a winter jacket, then your setting is too tight already. We had to fix so many things, and I can talk to you tomorrow, but better you ask me other questions.
No, I love the way you're explaining things, Veso. And I think one of the first things that comes to my mind when you're explaining this whole complicated process and the background ecosystem of how this project is turning out to be, I'm wondering what comprises of your team, man? Who are these people who are working with you, and how did you find them? What does your tribe look like, basically?
The team was something what really motivates me in the beginning, because I felt I have the perfect team, and that it is vitally important to have this fundamental before you start. And they were really amazing, each of them. They were worldly proof. They've been really awarded from various scenes in their expertise field, but appear to be very serious the whole thing sooner than later. And the team changed already a few times because they had to deliver things on a deadline. When you start doing something for other people, it's not anymore maybe or see you next weekend and we talk. No. When it became super on schedule things, And especially the first years that we had to work without salary. I work myself without salary till today. We just put and invest. And most of them, they were not putting their money, but their time. And even that was too heavy for them. So that was pretty devastating moment for me because I started losing this dream team, which still amazing team. But I was just not able to dedicate that much of an energy because that was sucking like a black hole, the need of people work. So I had to reorganize the team, and basically I had many periods that I was just holding it on my barely two hands. And the good rule is that you start with some team, and if you survive long enough, you attract the right team again. And now I'm super grateful that I have people like middle age, like in their 30s, and they work like animals, like 12 hours, and they're really tireless. One of them is a girl. Actually, she just finished the University of Textile and Design. She finds us around the corner because she sees the shop. So she come naturally. And the other guy, he come naturally. And the story about our technological person, the guy who know how to stitch things, even this T-shirt have principles. You cannot just decide to make things. You have to know to have this knowledge. This woman that appear is our jam, the strongest person in the team. It appeared from one invitation for how to say inspirational lecture in an IT company in the middle of a storm that I was barely holding the whole chaos on my shoulders. They call me to inspire people. I will make them cry probably. But I feel like I have to go. This is my duty. They're calling me. I went. They like so much, even if I was not happy with what I did there. They like so much that the organizer lady called me a few days later and say, "Hey, I really want to do something good for you. Don't think I'm hitting on you. I have family and stuff. Huh? I just really what you do, your story, and how can I help?" And I say, I need technological guy, guy who know how to stitch, not just a worker on the stitching machine, but a guy who know technology in this textile world. But I need really good, not a mediocre random person. And she said, "Oh, no problem, I find." No way. I never really trust this is gonna happen this way. And this
Yeah.
person and this lady called me a few days later and say, "I find your guys, is actually the old lady, and I'm coming with her right now." I say, "Great, I'm waiting here in the shop. I cannot believe what I'm waiting." And they came, and this lady looked like she came out of the French museum, like so elegant. I never seen a lady on her age so elegant, so cool, like with energy almost stronger than ours, like super full power. And she'd been working for Montclair, for Fila, for big world brands in Switzerland. And she actually retired in Switzerland and been also working in Bulgaria in many other companies and factories. And her job is been mainly to fix things. She go in the production place and make from a chaos order. But this mean many people fly out of the window. And she come and say, "Listen, two things. Don't talk to me about money because I'm retired. I have my pension. I'm not here about money. I come to help." I'm like, "Oh, great." But and the other thing is when I step into an operation, normally a lot of people get fired. Just to let you know. I was like, "No, please don't do that with my team. It's already small." However, those people that were already stitching the harness, and then, by the way, no, I'm switching too fast. She came inside and she said, "Wow, wow, amazing stuff. Wow, you actually have to give me advice how to do things. You already, wow," like she cannot believe what she's seeing. But then she started looking into the detail and then, "Oh, hola, mamma mia." It's not how you should do, and stuff. So I've been promised basically by the previous workers that they can do what I want, but they do it like wrestling. Everything is unique prototype. You cannot give this to production, and it has a lot of problems. And basically, she had to re-innovate the whole product from scratch to make it like to be 100% symmetrical and with technology, how you connect panel to panel and this and that and this and that. And she's been working 6 months straight, even Saturday and Sunday often, without single euro, man. So this story is pretty inspiring because with all the other bad luck and difficulties, the universe balanced my weight.
Wow, man. I think listening to your storytelling for the past few minutes is like one saying comes to my mind, and that is like when you want something with all your heart, The universe basically conspires you to achieve it and throws you in the right path and makes everything comes in your way. So that the girl walking into your store and this lady coming into your life and everything else, it just seems like quite a blissful place to be, Veso. Needless
Yeah,
to say,
but the
nah.
tests was pretty heavy beforehand.
No,
And
I can
so heavy,
imagine.
so heavy that now this lady often jokes like what I did, like why I came to this. It's like never ending story. I'm seeing my life like like over with the amount of work we have and with the products we want to develop in future, other products. It's we're now expanding. We get this finance that is going to give us basically money to pay salary to these people like for 6 months. We will have money to buy more machines. We'll have money to buy more materials in bigger quantity that will improve the price. But still in the end it's a very niche boutique product that my dream was actually to develop in custom size. Person can order in his unique size like skydiving, you know. So we really look forward to develop the product to the maximum detail, and we are almost finished, but there is always room for more.
One question that comes to my mind, Veso, is that you're smashing it in acro. You had your own fame to glory. You were making pretty amazing films, which were, say, Infinity Himalaya, that was doing very well in the film festivals. And other than that, Red Bull was on board for a while, and you were doing very good in the competitions, and you were making a name for yourself. Like, where did you switch from desire to giving back to the community at such a high cost where you're having to deal with so many stresses? Like, why do you do this, man? What's it in for you?
When I start flying, basically was like inflating a balloon with a happy, with the love of the environment, of the people, and I've been floating for nearly 2 decades, and I felt like this is amazing to me, and I gave back a little bit to some of the people by chance that could come visit me in my country, or by other abilities I could just by doing something for them give back to the community. But I feel like it will be not enough my life to touch everyone that touch me around my journey if I just do normal social living. I have to involve myself into some suffering to build something more big, to can spread it and help more, because I have friends who lose their abilities to walk from little impact. My dream is, and I believe we'll be able to achieve that. We're doing some R&D in this stage to have active protection harness and a proper protector as well, passive protector, that is able to take this impact 40 kilometer around when you stow a glider or spin a glider by accident or just lack of skill. People can have this little accident and just lose their ability to walk. So dreams like this drive me. And the switch was basically after I felt too light, too big, full of possibilities and power to do whatever I want. And I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's do this project. And the direction is infinite, because the passive protection that this has to be developed, the active protection, the two rescue, the one rescue harness, the clothes dreaming to have since child, almost since my teenage years, to have one set of clothes that you can do everything. Like your phone is like your office nowadays. You have so many machinery from back in the days in your pocket. Same things I'm dreaming to have with my clothes. And we're also quite near to this point that you can feel that free and consume less and be able to catch more easily the moment. If I am able to spread this to the world now, I just need to multiply these pieces, which is still a hard part. Can't wait to this sweet moment that is coming soon to be able to give it to the athletes that we support. We support more than 10 athletes from the very beginning before even we sell one harness. Just to give example, companies that exist for over 30 years very shyly start sponsoring their first pilot barely yesterday. And that's, I have completely entirely opposite approach, which came with a set of challenges, because when you look the mission so idealistically and do so many good things with the intention that you're doing so many good things, for sure not everyone will perceive it as good. We'll have also some difficulties, some reality checks, but that's make me more of a person who I am today, and I'm very grateful for all of that. You know.
Indeed, man. And I think you should not worry about pleasing everyone because that's an impossible task. But I think it warms my heart to just think about how well you're giving back to the community and your whole ideology behind it and the whole ecosystem that you're building around it. It's just, wow, man. Inspired, excited. Cannot wait. And thank you for letting me do a tiny bit in bringing out your story to our audiences, spreading the news across the paragliding community, across the globe. So, yeah, man. I think next topics are like endless, but while we are talking about desire and giving back and everything, can you just tell our audiences a little bit about Fly the Earth? How did the name and the brand and all of this, like what were the early beginnings, if
Fly
you
the
can
Earth
just.
was like checking with my deep self one day, maybe more than 10 years ago. I was like, what I'm really dreaming about in this life as I'm here on the earth. And the very deep down answer was like, I really want to fly around the earth to see the beauty, to connect with more as possible with the culture, with the nature and people. And that can be guided by the flying. And I was dreaming to fly around to connect with as many as possible magic. And I flew one girlfriend of a friend from Maui, from top of the volcano all the way down to the beach, thermaling over the craters. She was blown away and she was very grateful. And she was like, I need to give you back something. She was a very good tattoo artist. And I'm really not tattoo guy. I don't had any tattoo before that. And I was like, maybe you should put me this dream. So I don't want to get rid of this dream. Just put it on my leg. So she tattooed this name. And lately, this name was converted into the company. And for me, it's very beautiful process of my personal dream and now giving it back to the world. And what Red Bull showed me also this community lifestyle that you organize. We had actually quite late during my relation with Red Bull, but these kind of camps that we gather together in the family and we do crazy things on a faraway place on the other side of the world that we never been, and using the energy of all of us to create new things. My dream for Fly the Earth is to be able one day to move these people that I really love and support in the community to these kind of places, even more adventurous, without hotels, maybe deep in the mountain, and just use the toys and enjoy. In the end, we're struggling to build the product to elevate the human spirit and to save his life in a situation which is hard to be more grateful about. Contributing your life is not solving everyday problem. It's something very special to me.
Wow, man. As I just like the last time, hundreds of questions are popping up in my mind, but I think if I have to narrow it down to one feeling, that is like the passion that you have behind these is like just mind blowing, man. It's like your passion projects are so deep and enriching, and I'm pretty sure you, the person who's driving and living, is just yeah, you're on a whole different level. I think, be it as an athlete or be it as a commercial guy in these operations.
Yeah, it's deep and sometimes it's scary because I'm so absorbed by this whole energy of this. And then when life cracks you and you look life from other perspective, you can see this was just a speck of the other aspects of life. But that's why we're so many. Each of us contribute in a different direction, and I'm happy to give my part.
Wow, man, inspiring. And but I came across again. It reminds me of another quote that I came across was like, "If your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough." So,
They've been
thankfully,
really scary, man. They've been really scary to me. I remember the first step when we start with 20,000 euro. I was like, oh my God, what I did. I live with 20,000 euro before 5 years and I travel the world and I live like king. People ask me how I do it. Yeah, it's easy when you follow your dream, man. But when you start making business, I was like, oh my God, this is not my field. And ever since it's been like rolling like a snowball effect, the size of the operation and financial part, and you start losing the feeling. It's almost like you're getting numb about that, and you start to see that it's big and scary, but that's not the important point. What you achieve and how far you went. The rest is detail.
oh, love it, man. So, while we are talking about so deeply into all of this process, just help our listeners understand, man. What does a typical day in your life look like these days?
Oh, I wake up very early. I drive the kid. My favorite thing to do is to drive the kid to the school and to see all these smiles of the other parents, because normally they don't have this good relation with their kids. The kid I have is probably the best kid for me in the world in any aspect, and to drop him there, it's very good. Like, I did my best duty. From there on, my day is like dynamite. I can do everything. And then I go to the workshop. We work on the daily things, and we are constantly switching to R&D. As much as we're fixing things that are already confirmed, as much as we push, it's like a very tiring process for the people mind, because you have to be thinking. I cannot be like doing operation like a robot. I go them, torture them for a couple of hours. And then if I have the chance, I go fly or test the harness in the mountain. We have a landing next to the office. I'm lucky enough to be able to land next to the office. That happened very rarely, but it's my perfect day, if I can describe. The hell days, the opposite. Like, I'm driving all around the capital to connect, to collect materials, to customs, to speak with people for manufacturing other parts. During the financing process, we had like last 6 months, basically we've been tortured to be playing. They've been playing with us like with marionettes, because we had to do 1,000 documents to get this finance for 25% of the company. This bank was torturing us a lot, but now we are partners, so for a better good. And also constantly branding wings, receiving wings, doing some tandems, teaching people. And lately, I've been having a lot of care to my rooted family, and not to my older mom that passed away just a few weeks ago. And my twin brother, they've been not good. Luckily, my brother is here around, and I've been having a lot of care between family, the family I create, the business. So the day like passed so fast, but basically my day is been passing sometimes so quick in the workshop, like 12 hours, boom. Like, oh my God, I don't know when this time. I eat one time per day, not much of a water. That's not good. We already know. Start having some problems with that. But yeah, so many things, and you have to sometimes just find your peace, which is very difficult. Now I'm living to Pakistan for 2 months, and I'm extreme person, I guess. I am full on, zero time for myself. I squeeze myself like, and I start, I cannot anymore. I'm done. And then I go to my happy place. I charge myself. This year we're going there with Antoine Girard with a dream to fly over 9,000 meter. Hopefully don't get the jet stream to be blown in China. But I'm so lucky to be where I am, and thanks to everyone out there, and for to know this community which inspired me to do all this. I'm more than grateful. Thanks to all of you guys, and to you for doing your podcast. Much love to
Oh,
the world.
warms my heart. Thank you so much for those kind words. All I can say is you're going through a tough time personally, as you said, with some health issues, and of course, losing somebody as special as your mom. That's a void that can never be filled. But the drive and the passion and the way you are still working towards all of these projects and giving back to the community and having the motivation is just like heartwarming, man. I think the motivational speaker role that you had at the school or the place of invitation where you were was like you fit in right in those shoes. So keep that up. I think there's a lot to learn from a lifestyle like yours. And of course, the Pakistan expedition that you said, I think if any one of our listeners is listening to us right now, we had the pleasure of having Antti on our show as one of the first few guests. So he was very kind to come on board and share the story. And I remember his ambitions of telling the 9,000 meter plans that he had for 2024, because we spoke last year and he said that I checked off 8,000. Next year, I'm going to try and hit the 9,000. Please do check out that episode. I think we can put that in the show notes as well. You're going to live it anyways, but just for the perspective of our listeners who are interested in knowing how it is to fly 8,000 and above, they can go back in the history of the show index and watch that. But while we are talking about this, and Veso, how does the next 2 months look like for you? What are you guys up to? What kind of fun? What is the switch off? And what is the expedition all about?
This month, or the leftover of this month, will be for me 20 days of acclimatization in Hunza Valley. So this means hikes to 4,000 meter and some top landings over 5,000 and hopefully over 6,000 meter. sleep over, doing exercise there, flying on the next day, hopefully, because there is no way down to walk. No. And then when we acclimatize, we walk to Botoro. Actually, we take jeep and then we walk the last part. It's pretty long walk. Or maybe actually the last part, hopefully we fly again and we land and we're going to live 1 month in Concordia, 4,800 meters. We had to find our takeoff in the area at least 700-800 meters above. So basically, it will be like high mountaineering every single day when you go hiking with your 20-kilo bag, 20 kilo because you had to land with your stuff. But this year, our advantage is that we're gonna actually do the takeoff from Concordia, so we will be not forced and stressed to fly in the afternoon when it's normally the best conditions to fly back to the beginning of Botoro because there is no landing in between. You're gonna break your legs probably if you bomb out there. So this is the advantage. We will be staying basically in offside position, and our plan is to land also in Concordia. And yeah, that's more or less, and hopefully have the weather because last year we went there for a month and we had only 2 flying days. They were the best flights of my life, blown away by these giants around. But we were like 7,000 meters, very shy, not like even eight. And part of you want to see what is behind there.
I resonate with that feeling, man. I think that is why we fly paragliders because we always want to get a bit more higher than we are.
You want to see what is behind the clouds, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I mean, I'm finding it funny that you said 7,000 meters was not high enough. God damn it, 7,000 meters on a paraglider, man.
This is
That's
the game in
insane.
Pakistan, man. Everyone should experience one day. It's a bucket list.
It is. I can imagine the mighty Himalayas and the majestic Karakorams are quite a world in itself. If you are skilled enough to navigate them, that is the key part over here.
You get used to it of everything.
100%. I think that whole expedition will be a brand new show later on. We're gonna save that topic for later on because this time let's focus on whatever amount of time we have on your absolutely magical project. But promise me, when you come back, I think I would love to have you and Antion together on the show discussing.
That will be a pleasure.
Oh, love it, love it. But coming back to your project, Veso, version 2, question number 1 is like, why come out with a version 2? What are the first things that kind of made you start thinking about version 2 of the base of the harness?
You mean the base harness we start producing? It actually evaluate by many versions, probably from the first one people seen to the one we have now. They've been like, oh, how many? Like the Windows probably don't have so many updates so far. But basically what we did update, I spoke earlier, was just some major facts points and basically have the product to look like neat and to have the functionality and the safety, to be protected, to be able to escape from any situation. And that was the drive. And we are planning now to make two rescue harness, simple two rescue harness on the DNA of this three rescue harness. Like, for example, something what Woody Valley did, very nice friend of mine, Michele Boschi, did amazing R&D for them. But they've been a bit more commercially orientated. We have, if we're a small company, we can go mad into deep direction. They keep track of some sanity about the budget and stuff. But we're trying to push things to the limit and hopefully stabilize it with some other products, with maybe with the functional clothes before the bank kick us in the butt, because now they're partners with 25%. And basically we became from a very small company into the largest company entity. And this is extremely heavy by itself, accounting wise, communicating wise, operating wise. You actually basically, from what they give for a big chunk of your company, big chunk, let's say 30% flying off directly by some papers, some commissions here and there. It's basically a heavy deal. I feel like I sold my soul, but again, with a good purpose. And that's why I'm all in and I cannot give back as you earlier wish me. I have to deliver this to the community because we're in this one way go, you know.
I see, I see. But one thing that rings a bell is that when you're following such a passion project and you're competing with established brands like Woody Valley, how big is the industry for or the market for acro versus cross country? Because it seems like they are a big fish. They know how to market. They know how to have the productions and everything. But then you guys have the passion and all the energy behind it. So how does it weigh from official and commercial point of view?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Acro is not as big as, for example, cross country or school, but is the one that gives the biggest attraction to everyone, spectators and even participants, even if they're not doing it. And probably Woody Valley wouldn't be able and have the time to do this R&D if my friend was not making the deal with them. It's incredibly heavy process, and they're lucky to have it in their quiver. But as I say, it's developing a whole different stage. It's different is to compare like apple with a pear. It's a different fruit almost. But for me, it's very difficult to think I can compete. For me, it's like establishing our name, establishing our brand recognition with this product, and then we have to be on a hurry to catch up with some other tiny things that can keep the money flow. Basically, before we fall it was with one product, you cannot survive even this product. It's so amazing, but actually, as I told you, it's not making. For example, the harness I built last year, last year for 1 year, we were able to build like 15 harnesses, maybe maximum, for a year that I pay salary 150,000 euro.
Oh my God.
And this is without the materials and the other expenses. So these 10 harnesses cost me like cars. And what is worse, I sell them unfinished, and now I'm paying them back to the clients because they were not ready yet. So and this is not business easy to see in a positive way, but I believe we have much more than business equation here, and sooner than later we'll find the business equation down the path.
100%, man. And I think with a heart, with a golden heart like that, where you're refunding your customers or managing callbacks with the right ethical mindset, I think you will definitely you're in the right direction. So the fruits will come. But quickly, Veso, I want to touch upon the topic of prototypes and the testing. How does testing and prototypes of these harness?
We have a special machine with a hydraulic crane that we pull, and with the pulleys, with the metal structure is built by the certification requirements, with a special dummy, like a wooden torso that it costs more than my Enzo. It's like super expensive to build because it has to be perfect by requirements, by 5% correctness, like 0.5% can be different from what they require. And building this machine was hell of a work. My ex-manager did it, which I really respect him for that. No? And we've been testing the harness in a load test. In the harness, the chassis of the harness, basically, I compare our harness with any other harness on the market, including the big brands. I don't want to say names, but with all of the other brands. And our chassis is indestructible. It passed the test flawlessly in every direction. We torture it many times. An earlier version, without this massive reinforcement and improvement, the harness is being tested again by me and my friends, some of the best athletes in the world champions and stuff, and everyone else. And the harness is been holding very well and performing very well. It saved many lives, saved the life of many friends. And I can say that we did more good than bad. We actually didn't disappoint anyone with a real scenario of having injury or situation that he's hurt by the harness. And this is been our intention maximum always. So I'm very grateful because our harness is being tested way better than any certification test, which is 2,000 euro, and you send the harness and they make everything possible to work. It's been tested by every one of us, tens of pilots, over hundreds of hours. And even earlier version, as I said, it's been performing flawlessly. And this final version that we're about to release soon is gonna be a wow on the market, I believe. And I cannot wait to show it on Kupicar.
Oh, love it. So it's coming out in Coupe Car, is it, in the fall?
Yeah, hopefully we get the stand this time. The last few years was many challenges. but we're finally ready.
Oh, love it, man. Cannot wait for Kupigar to come around. You just talked about the certification process, and I've
We
been
will
very
have
curious.
we will have it. We will have the classical certification, load test and protector wise that every harness has. It's coming soon just because of the requirements of the bank, our investitor. As I told you, I believe in completely different direction. For me, I'm the quality control, and if I put the requirements that satisfy my ass, and I'm a very scared person, it's gonna be fine. But we will have the classical documents as well.
That sounds great, but I'll be very thankful if you can just let our audiences a little bit of an insight into certification, because glider certification, you can see the asymmetric collapse and the amount of recovery and everything. So it's very easy to read or understand what the glider certification is. But what does a harness certification look like? What is it all
Certification,
about?
our harness is extremely stable and you can make it very loose. Basically, it's between ski boot and a sandal. And most of the other acro harness in the market are serving just as a sandal. It cannot hold you so strong like a ski boot, cannot make it so rigid. Our harness have stability to the maximum. So let's say it can be like DSV1 and you can make it very loose like high performance glider. And at the same time, the harness is being mainly tested on strength, reaping materials, loading webbings and adjustment without the adjustment to slip over or to have any damage on the construction and hanging points and all this stuff. This is basically the certification. And then it's been released from altitude, like few meters on the floor and with a special instruments. They measure the compression of the protector, and basically with that they confirm if the harness is passing the certification or not. For example, if you put just a normal foam from your bed, 12 centimeter, you can pass the certification. All right. So we're trying to do something far more beyond that. And the certification is not the problem if you want, it's just a document. And the strength of a stitches is not the problem. If you want, you can stitch them on the way you have to stitch them with the good line. We use Dynema lines and the best machines and everything. It's like overbuilt, over engineered and super strong in our harness personally.
Blows my mind when you said that you can use your bed foam and pass the certification process.
Yes.
Are you kidding me, man? What's going
Yes.
on with that?
Yes. For example, let's say that the biggest wow and the highest achievement on our industry is the choroid protection, which is amazing visibly, and the marketing is amazing around this product as well, but it's not optimum, far not optimum, even if it's graceful and so much better in compared to other protection system, but it has so much more to improve by far, and I hope to deliver that.
I have a question regarding Choreo Veso, and I'll be very thankful if you can help our listeners understand it, because few designers and few guests in past have tried to stay away from it, and I don't know why. Maybe they're trying to be politically correct or not, but maybe you can help us understand that. If you remember Nick Nene's.
I know it's a friend of mine. I'm flying myself with choroid on my submarine and so on. I like it. For me, I'm a base jumper. I don't need any protection. I'm ready to take the responsibility. But I believe there is room for improvement. Let's keep it just that far.
I don't know. I find it very hard that why is nobody willing to talk about Korea so openly? Because to me, that protector seems dangerous at times.
Yes,
You know?
because it can be. Obviously, some people already lost their ability to walk with this kind of protection, but you can lose the ability to walk with any other of the common market protector if we don't make something urgently. This is a common problem in general. And choroids make it really big step in direction if you really have a violent crash, like if you're going in a full-on route rotation, you can use this technology to save your bones and your ability to walk probably. But in between, there is also a power of impacts that also can damage you. That's the problem. And also the direction of impact is limited. To activate this system, you need to impact more likely in one direction, and you cannot choose in which direction you're going to impact the ground. So the protection need to be more like hexagon from everywhere, like molecules, not like this just straight shocks. We are not with mountain bike. We're not with bicycle, and there is much more improvement room for improvement. And they did something amazing, and they marketed so far that they spread it beyond paragliding. It's in ski, in helmets, and so on. So many people believe, and for sure this works. But like everything, it has pluses and minuses. The thing is how many pluses it has and how many minuses. We can add more pluses probably. That's what I think.
All right, I'm not gonna pull this discussion any longer because of the complicated scenario behind it. But do you think if we have to find a conclusion behind Korea, does it have more pluses than minuses, or is it the other way around?
For me, if you allow yourself to impact the ground, for example, if you're a pilot that cannot control your stow situation and you're going to impact with some funny speed, better don't use choroid. But if you're going to use it only when it's going hard, like you're in a really fucked up situation, you're going to crash because nothing else works, then it's good. So I think it's good for good pilots, choroid, because you're going to avoid some cheeky crash. But still, nobody's insured. I have a good friend, one of the best acro pilot, Andre Prohaska, break his ass with ultralight harness without any protection. So even if you're good, but it's less likely, let's say. But if you're a beginner pilot, maybe better get a classical protector. You will be more all-rounded protected, all-round protected.
Like more possibilities, more scenarios where you will be protected.
Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense, and I think that makes decision making for a buyer when they go out in the market a whole lot
When
easier.
I buy my submarine with this, I'm like, oh, okay, I know myself. I will keep it conservative. You know?
All right. Yeah, of course, knowing your own abilities is the main thing. Another question that comes to my mind, Veso, with harnesses is that in gliders, we are obviously able to have a set number of hours for their lifespan. Like if you've flown a glider for 300-400 hours, that glider is done. No matter how many times you change the line, the fabric porosity will tell you, and all of that things will basically let you know that this glider is not safe or airworthy anymore. Harnesses, okay, carabiners have a 5-year limit where they're recommended to be changed in 5 years. But harnesses are like, as you're saying, you're making an indestructible harness. A lot of other harnesses are really good, like XR7 and few other harnesses are like super sturdy. And I've seen pre-owned harnesses coming on the market after 10 years. And the ones who don't have that kind of money but still want to enjoy the art of flight and are fascinated by aviation is like, oh, fine, I got a cheap deal. I'm going to buy this. So as a customer, when you have to make a decision of buying a pre-owned harness or even a new harness, what is the metric that you can understand, that you can define the lifespan of a harness, and how do you understand whether it's still airworthy or not?
You can see about some parts of the harness, the stitches, if the stitches change color or you find different colors around the edges of the harness, that can mean it's been exposed a long time on the sun. And basically, you have to choose harness which is not being left outside of the sun on the sun. Is the webbings where it's adjustment buckles to see if the webbing is complete without any damages on the corner, because good looking webbing, if you have a little cut on the edge, it's over. Some little details, basically like buying your jacket. It can be a second hand, but you need to look some details. And basically the harness lasts way more than any glider. And the one we built, I believe it's going to last forever. Maybe the very outside that we use this futuristic material, it might have some life expectancy to be shorter, but I believe will be longer than any other thing on the market. So again, I'm very positive about it.
Love your honesty, man. I wish every other brand was this honest and had the courage to bring out no, like, complete transparency. But to sum up this topic, do you think there should be a defined lifespan for harnesses? Should there be something?
Harness, I think, should be at least 3 to 5 years minimum. And for sure, on the major points, you can give life warranty, on the attachment points, for example, if it's base system or any other attachment points. And we're working on that to give life warranty, actually, at some point, as soon as we are able to spread the operation and be focused only on quality control, we will be definitely probably one of the first to say that, hopefully.
Just love it, Veso. And I think on that note, as we are reaching the end of the show, one question that rings my mind is, How does your visualization look like, man? What's the next innovation? What is the way forward? How does acro paragliding and the harness design car look in time to come? It's a very open-ended question. I know that. Let your creativity flow free.
Acro is going through the roof. I'm blown away, and actually I lose the rhythm to keep up with the new tricks since a couple of years already. But I can see that it's still room for more and more. For me, the size of the gliders is a radical step. Myself, I already have 14 meters. I've flown it just a few times. And the ability to have this short break travel with such a efficiency allow you to do these crazy combos. And definitely beyond the reverse and twisted tricks, I think the combinations are like using the energy of the glider. Like now, there is no difference between transition from negative to positive or positive to negative. Before it was just possible from positive to negative. Now you can connect both ways, both direction. Physically, by the rotation of the glider, it's hard to imagine more things coming up, but I'm sure there will be more things. I leave that to the young guns, and we will just do our best to keep them alive with the best harness.
Wow, love it, man. But Veso, do you have some visualizations or dreams? Like what's next in harness design after this? Or like how do you see harnesses from 5, 10 years from now? What could be possibly coming?
Harness needs some hardware, like for example, like drones have sensors for the active protection system that we're working, system that you can put on and off, or student mode or pro mode, that can inflate the protection in addition to save you from an impact. That's definitely a must. And also a small anti-G or even total parachute extraction by this CD automatic device, deployment, this instrument like in skydiving. It's totally existing things that we just need to merge together. And this is our actually final product in the Pyramid of Fly the Earth product line, to have this one simple rescue harness, but with the safety protection system, which is actually what you need to, when you impact the ground with or without parachute, you need to be safe. You need to be able to be able to throw the reserve. You need system to give you anti-G feeling, some system that pops a anti-G parachute so you don't lose conscious and you can throw your parachute. I had friends of mine that I was teaching, they lose conscious just from a simple spiral and go all the way to the water. And the guy who pulled his friend out of the water, like Jesus, he was still alive. He was alive. He survived. And he told me, no problem. They all survive like 3, 4 per year during the SAV courses. Wow, we need to build this that you can activate even by Bluetooth, like instructor from the ground, or have a system that harness simple technology. We're basically been flying rucksacks for decades in this amazing sport that deserves so much more, but the technology just drifts other way. Where is the money? Where is the mass need? And this is still a niche sport, but we're really fighting to do it equally with the industries to catch up. We're fighting a lot about that.
I think it's mind blowing the visualization and the dreams you have for this. And as you said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is already there in other sports. We just have to intertwine it and just make it happen.
Yes. It's been probably happening many years before I even start doing these harnesses to many people, but because it's so hard, they probably give up or stop or lose the direction. I'm not genius. I'm just connecting dots, which is obvious. And I hope I keep doing that till we succeed.
I think you will. 100% you will. Before we close, we have this tradition on the show that I request my guests to share one life experience from the blue yonder, from the sky, that has stuck with you. So I know this is a very open-ended question, but if there's any specific story that comes to your mind that you would want to share with our audiences in this regard, I'll be very thankful.
Any special stories? I go back to the roots. Just go hug your mom and take her for a tandem flight. That would be the greatest thing to do.
Wow, words of wisdom, Veso, words of wisdom. And I hope you and your family find the strength to move on and in a more meaningful manner. On that note, Veso, I think heartfelt thanks for such an open-ended conversation, man. And it's so inspiring to see you guys put in all the effort and energy And needless to say, super inspired. And I will do my part. I hope our audiences will do theirs because you are definitely doing yours in making this sport a better place for everyone else. So thank you so much, Veso. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you on the show, man.
Namaste. Thank you.